Why you chew like that? Like you always blinking. Every time I turn around, you breathing. What? You know what, Alex? I can't do this no more. Hello, hi. Welcome to 2190's podcast, Asking for a Friend. I am your host, Elisabeth, New York Times bestselling author, relationship columnist, and self-love strategist. This is a safe space where we can talk openly about sex, love, and relationships. I'm here with my trusty engineer, Alex, today.
What's up?
How are you?
I'm good. Yo, I have a friend. You're the perfect person for this. I have a friend. I think he's bugging, but you let me know. He has this girl he's kicking it to. He's been buying her gifts like every other day, trying to impress her, trying to get with her. Okay. It's like similar to like how Kanye is with that chick, but he doesn't have billionaire money.
Oh, so you mean like with Julia Fox, how he bought her and all her friends Birkin bags?
Yeah, like
he can't do that?
Nah, he can't do that. But I think it's excessive. Like every day he's just buying her gifts after gifts after gifts. Like, okay. Is that the way you impress a girl nowadays?
I mean, it depends on the girl, but I think that the red flag here for me is that how certain men use gifts as ways to love bomb women.
What's love bombing?
Okay, so, I'm so glad you asked me. All right, so check this out. Listen, according to the world, right? So love bombing is a form of emotional manipulation in which a person, often a narcissist, okay, in which a person bombs you with an over-the-top amount of affection, flattery, and praise. Now, this usually happens in the beginning. Sounds like him. Yeah. Okay. So this happens like in the beginning of a relationship, usually, like almost too early in a relationship, right? And we saw, like, just for example, the Kanye Julia Fox situation. They had known each other for all of literally 2 days before they were out in public holding hands. Within a month, he had bought her and all her friends Birkins. Like, she was everything, he was everything. It was and then it fizzled. Okay, that looked a lot to me like love bombing. It looked to me like love bombing. The thing about this is that, number one, it's a part of a three-pronged approach, usually done by narcissists. And there are different degrees of it and lots of ways to spot it. Okay. So with a narcissist, it's kind of easier to spot one if you know what at least these three prongs are. So first you have your love bombing, which is your idealization stage, where everything's ideal. He's perfect. She's perfect. They do everything right. Where have you been my whole life? I'm so glad I met you. This is amazing. And you get hooked on that. Imagine a girl.
Is that kind of like the honeymoon stage, or?
It's like a honeymoon stage before the wedding, right? Okay, so imagine somebody every day does all the things you like.
Gotcha.
Every day. Like, think about all the things you like. Like, you love these things. Like, if a girl would only do these 5 things, I'd be in heaven.
I'm thinking of just one, but.
Okay. And most men have that one thing. So imagine every day you're getting this one thing and you're loving it. All like, she is perfect.
Okay. All right.
And you fall for it. You fall for her. You're telling everybody, this one right here, this one, she different. She's different. I like her. She's amazing. Okay. 2, 3, 4, 5 months into it, that thing you love stops. And now it's like, ugh, get off me. What? No, I'm not. No, I'm working. Do you even have a job? Like, why are you up? It's all this. It's a different thing.
Okay. Now,
all of a sudden, your wants aren't being considered. Your needs aren't being considered. Your feelings about the inconsideration aren't being considered. Nothing you want, need, or feel is important. That's your second prong. That's your devaluation stage. Now you're being devalued. Here's where things get really murky, because you just had months, sometimes years of bombing, of having everything you want out of this one person.
Okay.
You've had some time now to get used to this, Alex. So when she starts acting like you gross her out and she doesn't care what you think and she's going out with her friends and no, I'm not coming over there and what are you talking about? When that starts, you're not thinking this is real, but you're making excuses now for this person because you think the person you saw in the beginning is the real person. So this second stage can't be the real person. So you're going to stick around for this because it's going to get better, right? And then one day, all of a sudden, maybe not, it's not even all of a sudden. It feels all of a sudden to you because you're not aware of it. Then all of a sudden, it's like, you know what, Alex? This isn't working out. And you're devastated. Wow. Because you're chasing this high that you got in the very beginning. And that third prong, that it's not working out stage, that's that discard. Now she starts an argument for no reason because she needs an excuse to discard you. Why you chew like that? Like you always blinking. Every time I turn around, you breathing. What? You know what, Alex? I can't do this no more. I can't. I'm done. And you're just like, but what? Wait, what just happened? And you feel crazy. So that third stage is the discard. Now, here's the thing. Those are your three phases, right? So you've got your idealization, which is going to be your, everything is perfect. It's amazing. Then you go into your devaluation. Then you go into your discard. You feel crazy by the end of this because they make you feel like gaslighting usually happens somewhere in the middle in that devaluation stage. What are you talking about? I was just with you last weekend. Why are you so needy? What are you talking about? We just did this. I got to answer your calls all the time. You own me now. Now it's like making you feel guilty for having these feelings of being abandoned when you got accustomed to how things were in the beginning. That also brings up feelings of self-doubt because now you're like, am I crazy? Am I too needy? Am I asking too much? Do I need too much? What's wrong with me? Why am I not good enough for this person? So now you feel like it's your fault. So you've got this self-doubt. You've got this feeling of just being nuts and you're chasing the high of how things used to be in the beginning. You want that feeling back. But I look at certain things in the media and I think that person ain't got no good friends. Like obviously, girl, you ain't got no good friends. Like you need, especially like a good black friend. It's like some people need a good black girlfriend, right? Because a black girlfriend gonna be like, girl, like your hair, they'll get you together a lot of times, right? In a way that a sister would or a mama would, And so for certain things we talked about earlier, the Julia Fox Kanye thing. Yeah. When that happened, I wondered, like, what would I tell her or someone in my life like her when I saw this happening? She's my friend in my head. This is what I would say to her if I knew her better.
See, she should have called in and asked.
Like, give Julia my number for the next time because that was insane. Yeah. It's a moth to a flame with the love bombing because it's so bright and it's so pretty and it's so perfect. And it's so easy to get caught up in it, especially if you've already been a victim of it and you're accustomed to it. It seems okay. It seems right. If I'm being love bombed and I can't see it, but my friends can, they're going to start telling me what they see. And then I'm going to have that doubt about that love bomber, that person, that narcissist who's trying to use me for whatever reason. I'm his supply, for his ego. I'm his supply right now. And if my girlfriends get in my ear and I start listening and seeing what they're talking about, then his supply goes away when they've used you up emotionally, mentally, physically. Like, you don't want to put yourself in that position. And then when you're in that position, you've got to pay attention, not just to the signs of how they are with their ex, how cantankerous that might be, how much they either want to be with that person or how badly they may talk about that person, but you don't want to be the person who then becomes the next source. Because narcs need source. They have to have a well. It's like a vampire. I call them swagpires, like people who come into your life and just suck all your swag. Like they just want that. They crave that love, that attention, but they don't want you. They want what you can give to them, right? But Julia isn't alone. I mean, I've had my own experience with love bombing, and a lot of us have. Oh, for sure. For sure. And I want to get into my experiences a little bit later, but right now, let's take some callers and see what they have to say about it.
All right, let me bring them in.
All right. Who do we have?
All right, so our first friend calling in, we have Layla. Layla, are you here?
Hi, I am. Can you hear me okay?
Yep, we hear you great. And your question for Elisabeth.
Okay, so my question is love bombing. I always experienced it really with that kind of material, like I want to see you all the time, but I recently experienced it really from that emotional side of being a little bit more withdrawn and then all of a sudden oversharing. And I thought it was a connection, but I realized it was mirroring and manipulation. And now I'm a little bit nervous because it put my life in destabilization mode, which it previously was not in for quite a bit of time. How can I avoid being love bombed in the future? And what things can I look out for? Because now I know it comes in different forms.
Mm-hmm. Hi, Layla. This is a really good question. I'll tell you why. Because you didn't realize it before. So you've obviously learned what love bombing is since this started happening to you, right? You know that there is such a thing called love bombing. You know that it can come in different forms. It might be, like you said, buying gifts, showering you with attention. It might feel like emotional love bombing where there's so much love, so much affection, so much availability. And then that goes away after a while, because once you're hooked, then it's all about the devaluation of the person, and then eventually the discarding, right? So here's how you avoid this in the future: by listening to your gut and what you have learned already. You know this already. You at this point, Layla, what you need to do is to trust yourself, to trust that you do know, that you will always remember, number one, what it felt like, what it still feels like, because you're still going to have probably years of repair after this situation, right? And I know, because I'm in reparations myself. It'll take me years to get over, 6 years with a narcissist. It'll take me a while, but I'm now so much more aware. So take that awareness, that self-awareness and the awareness of others. Listen to your gut. Listen to your first mind. Never talk yourself out of your first mind. I always say that's God talking to you. Everything else is you talking yourself out of what you already know. So listen to your first mind. If you see it, if you feel it, it exists, and bring it up immediately to that person. It feels to me like you're love bombing me. It feels to me that now you're devaluing me. It feels to me that what's coming up next is a discard and I'm already on to you. You're probably a narcissist and I've already dealt with this and I don't want to do it again. Tell people to their face. It helps you to strengthen your belief in yourself. It helps you to feel stronger moving forward and to make you not be afraid of dating in the future, because you know that you can, number one, spot these things, and number two, call them out. Number three, walk away from them as soon as you see them. There is a one flag rule. Once there's a flag on the play, you walk off the field. That's it. There's no more second flags, third flags. We're not going to give people 3 in 17 chances to ruin our lives. You've done that already. It's time to, move on, grow. When you know better, you do better.
Yeah, I mean, my situation was it was an interesting type of love bomb, but I do think that calling that out, like, hey, you're oversharing about your personal life. I've known you for 3 weeks. You're trying to make me your girlfriend, and I just met you.
Exactly.
And that makes me uncomfortable. I think calling that out, you're right, that will stop it, because they'll either try and gaslight me, which I can call out as
right,
well, or they will stop trying because they know I'm onto them.
That's exactly what happens. And so this will give you the courage to move forward and to know that you won't find yourself in the same situation again. It'll let those people know that, like you said, you're onto them, and it'll give you the courage to continue to date. Don't be afraid to date, because if you miss out on the bad things, you also will miss out on the good things. There's lots of love and lessons in your future. But you just want to be able to call it out as it's happening, as you see it. And keep reading and learning about the psychology behind love bombing, and keep yourself, in the know at all times. Thank you so much. I appreciate you calling in and for taking the time.
Thank you.
You're so welcome.
I appreciate your advice.
You're always welcome. Thank you.
All right. That was a great call from Layla. And next we have Foolish. She goes by that name. She has a question on love bombing as well. I'm going to bring her in right now, okay?
Okay, great.
Yeah.
Hi, guys. How you doing? Hi, Elisabeth.
Oh, I'm so good today. How are you?
Good.
Okay.
I heard exactly what you said to Layla, and that definitely resonated with me. My question was, how foolish was I? My intuition was talking to me every day. And my intellect of being educated knew that everything was going wrong, and the gaslighting and the lies in between was fueling the thought of wanting to believe. So I wonder if this me not believing was part of being insecure.
So I think that when a love bomber comes into your life, the point is to make you secure. So even if you may feel foolish now, you weren't in the beginning, because that person comes in specifically to make you feel secure, unfoolish, that you're doing the right thing. This is part of love bombing, to make you feel as if this is obviously the right decision. He's amazing. He does everything I need. He puts me first. This is great. That false sense of security is where they hook you. Now, that creates a reaction in your body, a dopamine, very much like drugs. It's a high. When they stop valuing you, you find yourself chasing that high. So you start to second guess yourself. And that insecurity comes from you, it seems like, and not from that person. But that's also part of the game. It's a psychological phenomenon. It's not as simple as I was stupid, I was foolish, I wasn't paying attention, I went against my gut, I know better, I'm educated. That has nothing to do with what's happening here. So number one, I would take some of that blame off of yourself, but also here's what you have to do now that you're aware of it. It's your responsibility. Now you know what love bombing is, you know what it feels like, and you know the damage it can do. Please pay attention to that. Remember, that first time, it wasn't your fault. But this time around, now that you know, it is your responsibility. You have to be responsible for yourself, for your mental health and your well-being. No one else is going to take care of you better than you. Okay?
Thank you so much. Is there a book I could read in regards to
Yes,
this?
there's some books that I always recommend. Number one, it's called Attached. It is by Amir Levine. You can find it online anywhere. Also by Rachel Heller. There are two authors. Attached. I have it. I love it. It changed the way I saw myself in relationships. It changed the way I had relationships. And I also did it with my partner at the time so that we could both discover what our attachment styles were and whether we belong together. So this book was kind of a gateway for me to start looking into how other people have relationships and why. So I would definitely recommend that for you.
Thank you so much. I'll definitely look at this. I need to read it. Awesome. And therapy.
Yes, and please, always therapy. Always. Therapy should be like drinking water. You should be in therapy all the time for the rest of your life. Always.
Yes.
We all should.
Absolutely.
Not just you. We all should.
Yeah, a lot of us, Black African Americans don't believe in it. And we don't have that type of influence in our family. So
yeah, well,
I'm definitely going to try it.
Definitely do. I've been in therapy for over 20 years and it's what keeps me, I think, alive and sane and growing always. I thank you for your call today. Thank you for this time. I appreciate it.
Thank you. Bye, you guys.
Bye.
All right. So we have our friend on the line. She goes by the alias Earth Sign Lover.
Oh, okay.
So I'm going to bring her in right now.
Hi, Earth Sign Lover. How are you?
Good, Elisabeth. How are you?
I'm so good today, honey. So what's your question?
So I know. So my question is, how, in your opinion, do you check yourself in relationships when you feel like you're being love bombed or when you feel like your intuition is going off like something may not be right?
That's a really good question. Let me tell you what I started doing, what I would do now. I would stop whenever you feel uncomfortable, whenever you feel like something's not right, you're correct. Always believe your gut. And you can't tell people how to love you. You can't make people be who you want them to be, do what you want them to do, behave how you want. That's not how any of this works. The only person you're in control of here is yourself. The only person you can change is you. So change you in this instance. Step away from it. Take a look at it objectively. If you take some time away from a relationship, I mean some time, sometimes that could be weeks, it could be months. I took 1.5 years out of my relationship and really looked at myself and looked at what was happening in the relationship and what needed to change. In doing that, I was able to detoxify from the relationship, from the bull that was happening in the relationship.
For sure.
And so when I re-entered the relationship, I only entered it long enough to leave it. You find that when you take some time away from a situation and you start to heal yourself, you look at it objectively from the outside, you realize you don't need it. You realize you don't want it. You realize it doesn't make you happy. You realize this is not what you wanted in the first place. It's not what you deserve, and that you deserve a whole lot better. So you want to check yourself, then check out of the relationship. Give yourself some time to be with yourself, not by yourself. You're never by yourself, but be with yourself and treat yourself better than anybody else ever has, ever could, or ever would. You'll find that these relationships aren't that important and that they're easier to go. Because let me tell you something about men. There's one leaving every 5 minutes like a bus. You're going to always be able to get another one, girl. Don't worry about these guys. Listen, I've had 3 husbands. You know why? Because getting a husband is easy. That's the easy part. Men are the easy part. The hard part is you. The hard part is figuring out who you are and what you want and what you can give yourself and what you deserve and what your worth is. That's hard. And only when you figure out that part does the right man come along, because not every bus is going to take you to where you want to go. They come around every 5 minutes, that's for sure, but they're not all going to the same destination.
I love that. I really do. And I'm trying to step away from it. But even now, like, he's love bombing me, and it's just constant. Like, I think he called me, I want to say like 17 times the other day.
And that should scare you. Anybody calls me more than twice, I'm good. That's insane. That's an insane amount of phone calls. And you know you're being love bombed, and you're still giving the love bomber access to you.
That's very true.
Why are you allowing someone to love bomb you when you know you're being love bombed? It would be different if you called up here and said, I don't know what's going on, but this is what's you literally just said to me what's happening. So you know what's happening. So you're deciding to stay in a situation that's unhealthy because why? Because no one ever showed you this much attention before? Because you don't feel worthy of this kind of attention, so you're still feeding off of it because you don't think you're going to get it anywhere else?
That's a good question.
You got a question for me? Or is it a good question for you?
No, it's a it's a good question for me.
Right.
Because I know I'm still working through things as far as like abandonment issues and things like that.
There you go.
So,
was it your dad?
No, actually, it was your mom.
Yeah, it's either one of the two parents. This is where our abandonment issues start. It's either one of the two parents always, and parents hate to hear this, but they need to. They have traumatized us beyond repair, and decades go by, and we're still dealing with traumas from our childhood. These are developmental traumas.
I never thought about it like that. That's scary.
It should be scary enough for you to block, delete, change your number. You're right. You have a lot of things to deal with, but you have to deal with it from a different position.
Yeah.
Stop giving men so much access to you until you heal yourself, because you will always end up in this position because you're not healed. Yeah. Find you a therapist.
Thank you for that. I actually have a therapist, but I only talk to her really about my family trauma.
No. They're connected, sweetie. So you have to talk about all of it. Yeah. The family trauma is the root of your interpersonal trauma. There's not one deeper than the other. It's the same tree, different roots, but it's the same thing. It's all connected. So you got to bring her up to date too. Don't just talk to her about past stuff. Talk to her about what's happening now, so she can give you some real talk. And also, what helped me in therapy, always helps, statistics. You realize you're not stupid. You're not weird. You're a statistic. My therapist gave me numbers. 35% of women who have been through this do this. 80% of women who have been through that do that. It helped me to realize I'm not out of my mind. Yeah. And I'm not alone. I'm a statistic, and that's fine. There are a lot of statistics. They're really good statistics too. So now you've got to try to be one of those great statistics that makes it out of this kind of developmental trauma whole, healthy and whole. So talk to your therapist about what's happening now. Okay?
I will. Thank you so much.
Oh, you're so welcome, honey. I will talk to you probably online. I want you to update me.
I will. I definitely will. Thank you. I appreciate you.
I appreciate you too. Thanks for calling in.
All right, so we have our friend Carolyn. She sent in a question from socials. I'm going to read it out for her. Mm-hmm. I'm going to try to channel my inner woman right now.
Okay.
Is it love bombing?
Because you're thinking about the female voice. I'm just saying, it will be funny if you did that. Yeah. Okay, go ahead.
I'm going to just give you straight up.
Okay.
All right. So is it love bombing if you work for a guy who doesn't pay you but gives you gifts instead?
Oh. Okay. Well, for Carolyn, I have to say this. It's love bombing, most likely, but it's definitely like an HR issue. Like, it's definitely probably illegal.
How good are the gifts, though?
Right. And like, and also too, I think love bombing is important to differentiate between that and sincere gift giving and sincere loving. Mm-hmm. And the way to differentiate that is when the love ends, when all of a sudden the gifts are being used to control you, when all of a sudden, you break up and then there's a gift so you can make back up. The gifts are becoming playing cards in your relationship. I think that love bombing is more obvious when you get to the second stage, which is the devaluation. Gotcha. Right? Because someone could just genuinely be a gift giver. That could be their love language, right? Because gift giving is a sort of love language. And that's fine if someone's always like that. But Carolyn, probably because the relationship is most likely inappropriate because it's a work relationship, there's a chance that she's been love bombed if that relationship now seems strenuous, controlling, and if those gifts are being used against her. I hope that you have left the situation, and thank you so much for writing in, and I hope to hear from you again.
Those were some fun questions.
I know, right?
Yeah, that was really fun. I know you said you got love bombed earlier.
I said that?
You did say it.
Dang. I did. I did, though. I did. I've been love bombed quite a bit.
Okay.
I have been married 3 times.
Okay.
I've been engaged 7 times.
Okay.
I have had that's a lot of love. Because you have no idea. Okay. Right. I can get into it.
Yeah, let's.
I'll tell you a little bit about it. So, I started dating my ex. Well, let's say this: for the next year and a half, I would not date him because number one, he wasn't my type.
Okay.
On paper, he was good though, but just physically, he wasn't my type. He was too good. He's a nerd, Okay. So he like no swag, walked on his tippy toes, like shaped a little funny, like, but he was like it was, and he was a lot younger than I was too. So I was like, I don't know, like I'm not, for a year and a half, this young man was everything. He would be he would do every day I had lunch, like, because I was always working, always busy. He'd call me, did you eat? Which everyone knows is one of those things where if somebody cares about if you ate today, they care about you as a person. Every day, did you eat? Did you eat? If I didn't eat, I would come home, there'd be Postmates waiting for me. One time, this man was on business and sent me Postmates.
And you say he had no swag. That's a swaggy move right there.
I was moving into a new place. The cable people didn't show up. Like, he bought me my first Apple TV. He was like, girl, you don't need cable, girl. Had Postmates, go to Target, get me my Apple TV. I get whatever I need. Anytime he sensed something needed to be done, he would take the initiative and do it. We would have sleepovers. He wouldn't touch me. He understood that I didn't want to date him, but we bonded for a year and a half. Became like the best of friends. And I thought, this is so sweet. Like, he understands I'm not ready to date because I had just gotten out of like my 3rd marriage or something. And I just wasn't ready. So for a year and a half, he played it so cool. We started dating and we stayed together for another like 5-6 years or something like that. As soon as we started dating, as soon as the relationship went from platonic to intimate, when I tell you instant change, by the end of that week, he was a different person. All of a sudden, he was disappearing. He was gone for months at a time. His phone, he'd be off social, off everything. He'd just disappear.
He left you hungry.
Yeah, he left me hungry. I had to order my own Postmates.
That's crazy.
And everything changed. He didn't have everything about him changed, everything. And I spent the next 5 years or whatever chasing that initial year and a half, the feeling that I had for a year and a half. Wow. I remember telling all my friends how perfect he was, that even though I wasn't ready to date, he was still caring for me and making sure I had everything I needed, and it was just always there for me. Mm-hmm. And I spent the next 5-6 years like chasing that or whatever. And our story ended really badly because I got so hooked on that first year and a half of like just love, and that he was able to toy with me for the rest of the entire relationship. And then I thought I was crazy. Like I literally thought I was nuts. Wow. And it was so bad. He blamed me for everything that happened in his life. He blamed me for him losing his job. He blamed me when he got an apartment that was too expensive for him that he could barely afford. He blamed me. It was all my fault somehow. And that's part of that devaluation. And then he would just discard me. Like, I'm done with you. So I was just always out on a ledge thinking I'm a horrible person, you know, and I did all these things. It's my fault. Your life is the way that it is. And now you're just going to leave me like this, feeling guilty. And it's the worst kind of abuse. It happens very quietly and very slowly. So to anyone out there who's dealing with love bombing, if you feel or you think that it's love bombing, if it feels disingenuous, or if it feels like you got love bombed and now it's in the devaluation stage and something has changed, I would say you gotta step away. In your mind for right now, it doesn't have to be forever, but you've got to take some time away so that you can really evaluate what's happening with you and with yourself. I wish I knew more about my partner before I got involved with him, but it was impossible for me to know more because people tell you what they want to tell you. They hide and omit what they want to. But once you start feeling not good, once a relationship starts feeling not good, it's time to step away. And I should have done that months into the relationship. Like after that first week when things changed, the minute he switched on me, I should have been out. It's easier said than done though, Alex. It's easier said than done because you don't believe that it's them. Yeah. You always think it's something else, you know, job and family and like stress and whatever, and they'll be back to their it's just so hard. But when you do see it, and hopefully this episode helps people to see it, because sometimes you don't know what it is. It took me forever to learn what this was. I honestly didn't figure it out until a year ago maybe. And then it still took me like 6 more months to like really understand what was happening and then start calling it out as it was happening. So I just want everybody listening to know that you are not alone. It's happening to almost everybody you know. It's more common than you think. And it's okay. It's okay if this is happening to you. It's okay to ask questions, get answers, and it's okay to heal. And most importantly, it's always okay to leave. Thanks for listening to Asking for a Friend. I'll be publishing every Tuesday at 9 a.m. Eastern. You can send me your questions or comments at askingforafriend@blavity.com. Don't forget, spread the word. Tell a friend.